The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic!
It is magic time! Hello and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show, episode 44.
44! Yes!
We have way too much to talk about in this episode. I don't know if we'll get to it all, but we're going to try to get through a Street Freak of the Week. We've got listener feedback. We've got Celebrity Minute. We've got just tons of shit to talk about. I think I should start right off the bat with the big story this week, was that I suffered more head trauma.
Oh, no.
I don't think you've even heard about this, have you?
No, I don't know anything about this.
I got a concussion at work on Monday. I don't know how many. I think that makes like 8 or 9 severe head trauma that I've received in my life.
Really?
My head has been bashed around. If you were to shave my head, it would just be riddled with dents and scars and lumps everywhere. Yeah. I don't really remember it happening. I guess that I can only go by what my brother has told me about what happened, and I don't know if he's lying or not. But I was at work. I guess I was working under some overhanging thing, like I was crouched under it. And I don't know if somebody called my name or something, but I just stood up as hard as I could and just smacked the top of my head into the thing. And my older brother said that I sort of like stumbled around for a minute and clutched my head and looked all dazed. And he said it sounded like someone just took a hammer and beat me in the top of the head as hard as they could. And then I guess I sort of went back to work for a few minutes.
So you have no recollection of this?
I don't remember it happening at all.
Wow.
No. And then after I was working for a few minutes, I just sort of started stumbling around, and then I stumbled off to the side and collapsed and started retching, like I was vomiting.
Oh, no. That's a symptom of a concussion.
Yeah, I guess. And then I think I remember... Well, apparently I was just sitting there dazed, and they told me just to sit there and not... I kept trying to get up to work, and I guess I would like hold my tool and just go and like sort of rub it back and forth, and they would ask me questions, and it would take me a while to answer, and I kept asking them how I hit my head over and over again.
Oh, God.
And then I think I drove home that day, which probably wasn't a good idea.
So is there like an actual gap in your memory? Like, can you remember right up to the point that it happened, and then just your memory come back at some point?
I don't remember. I think I lost a good 5 or 6 hours from that day, both before and after. It's really weird. It's very strange to try to think back and realize, to try to think of what's the last thing I remember, and I can't even really get that.
That's kind of vague.
I think I remember getting to work. I remember...
This happened in the morning at work?
It was pretty much in the morning.
So you remember going back to work at some point later in the afternoon?
Not really. I think I remember... I'm trying to think if I can remember my drive home, but even that's kind of fuzzy.
Ooh.
It was funny because the next day I have my little workout regimen that I do, and I mark it on a little chart, like how much I've done every day. And I looked and saw that I had it marked off for Monday. So I don't know if I was doing push-ups and crunches and stuff.
That's possible.
I probably did. I don't know what else. I don't know if I was doing anything else crazy, like calling people, or I didn't notice any text messages or anything weird that I was doing.
This could be a dude where's my car type situation.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're doing all sorts of things. Maybe talk to the alien or something while this is going on.
But it was very strange because it kind of, even the next day, I got that day off from work. And that's why I got kind of suspicious, because my dad was being so nice about everything. Yeah. He's like, oh, you don't have to come into work, and I'll even pay you for this day that you're not at work. It's like, what? Because this has never happened in my entire life. And so now I'm thinking maybe he like beat me over the head with a 2x4 or something, and he feels guilty about it, and that's what actually happened.
Well, he's probably worried that... I mean, this happened.
Yeah.
And if something really bad did happen, it wouldn't...
just drop dead or something.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very good for him. Both on like a family level and on like a professional level.
In the labor and industry.
Yes, it would be a pretty bad scene.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So even on Tuesday, when I was sitting around, I was trying to edit last week's episode on Tuesday.
Jeez.
And... even though I kind of thought I felt normal, I had a horrible headache pretty much for a week. Today is the first day that it was pretty much gone, even though now I have a hangover headache, but that's a whole different story. But I was sitting in front of the computer, and I was trying to edit the episode, and then I would realize that I had just been sitting there for like 30 minutes just looking at the transport flashing, like not doing anything. It's like, ugh, like I just couldn't concentrate on anything. It was very strange. I don't know. I've had concussions as a child, but I don't really remember what it was like.
No.
And basically, I realized kind of what it was like to be stupid for a couple days, because people would say things to me and I'd go, sit there for a minute, and it would take a while to soak in, and then I'd sort of respond, but not completely answering the question they'd asked me.
This is not good. You're going to end up like Junior Seau, and you're going to like shoot yourself in the heart to preserve your head.
Well, so my lawsuit against my father.
Yeah, exactly. Can go forward.
But anyway, I think I'm okay now. But if this show seems disjointed and crazy, it's probably because I'm still have mild brain damage going on.
Oh, it'll just make for more entertainment.
Yeah, maybe. The other big story.
Oh, there's more?
I got my iPhone 5 on Friday. Yes. It's so beautiful.
I just saw it. It's a little longer and maybe a little thinner and shinier.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. I had the 4, so this thing is remarkably fast compared to the 4. I've started my relationship with Siri now.
Oh, you didn't have Siri before?
No.
Siri was part of the 4S.
No, yeah. Before I didn't have it. But now I can finally stop obsessively checking the UPS tracking site, which I was doing all week long. Refresh. And
I always do that too, even when I order like some books from Amazon. But I'm really not that desperate to get my hands on these books, but I'm still just like checking all the time, like hoping they would come. And I don't even bother to open the box for a few days. But I'm just like, I got to get this box.
It is exciting.
Because you can track it and you can see where it is. And you're like, oh, it's in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. And you're like, when will it move out of there?
Yeah. So I'm very pleased with it. This little capsule review of the iPhone 5. It's way faster. It's lighter. It's thinner. I think the screen size is perfect. I can still hold it in one hand and reach everywhere on the screen.
Yeah.
But video looks way better now because it's in 16:9 aspect ratio, which is like widescreen video. For me, the upgrade from the 4 to the 5 was a huge leap because that one was 2 years old, and so it's like 4 times faster than the 4 was.
Well, just imagine if I got it going from a cordless phone to that phone. It would be quite a jump. I was watching TV today, and they kept running this ad from Samsung.
Oh, yeah, the Galaxy S3.
Yeah. People just seem to love it on the commercial.
Yeah.
But they were actually making fun of people going and waiting in line.
They do that every year.
That's a tradition from
Every
Samsung?
time there's an iPhone launch, they do a thing of deriding the people.
It was not a flattering portrayal of the Apple people. Like, they're just nerds hanging out, like, worshiping this, like, piece of technology that the Samsung people, who are, for some reason, standing outside the line watching and mocking the people who are in line at the Apple store, were like, well, look at my screen. My screen's really great, and I can do all these things.
I'm not, like, a big Apple person. I don't have a Mac or anything. The only Apple product I've ever owned is, I think I had a classic iPod once, and then I've had the iPhone since the 3G. And I love the iPhone, but I don't get all crazy about Android versus Apple. And it's really weird how society has devolved into this brand civil wars.
Well, it's sort of like, it was going on before with computers. Before the phone, right?
Yeah.
And there was like a cultural thing with the Apple products, right? And it was sort of like looked down upon to have like a PC, and you're like, PC, give me a break. I work with Apple.
Well, and Apple has that sort of
black turtleneck wearing,
kind of, but I'm sure there's great Android phones out there. I'm sure I like the iPhone. I don't like the gigantic fucking screens on some of these Android phones. I want my phone to be small and fit in my pocket. I don't want to have to use 2 hands.
Are they that big? Are they like as big as an iPad
huge.
Or something?
It's like the Galaxy S3 is, I think it's like a 4.8-inch screen or something like that. It's
there's
huge.
also another commercial where these people are at a wedding, and all these people have, I think, the Samsung phone, and they're like, look at this. I'm seeing like pictures of what's going on at this wedding right now. And this one woman there doesn't have the phone, and just getting really upset. And she ends up in the stall in the bathroom hearing about things happening that other people are finding out in the bathroom from their Samsung phone. And she's like, damn it, like really angry.
Well, that was the other thing that Samsung keeps touting, is that they have an NFC chip in their phone and the iPhone doesn't. And
what the hell is that?
It's the near field communication.
Oh, so you can communicate people with adjacent phones?
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they're touting on that.
Right.
So if I was at a wedding and I was a bridesmaid and I was taking pictures of people like throwing the bouquet.
Right. So instead of actually looking at the people throwing the bouquet, you'd have to look at the bouquet.
Yeah, but so the person that had the Samsung that was a couple tables away would be able to see that.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that really that much better?
I don't know.
Couldn't you put on your, if you had your Apple thing, couldn't you just put it on your, like...
Yeah, you could just message them to people.
But it would have to go to, like, the internet, right?
It wouldn't take any longer. I don't know. The other thing is that you're supposed to be able to use it as a digital wallet. But there aren't any merchants who have that set up.
What is
right
that thing
now.
where you like have a barcode on your screen and then you scan it on something?
No, this is, you don't even have to scan the barcode. You would just be near a kiosk and it would automatically take money out of your...
Well, that seems
I don't like that.
hazardous.
Yeah, I'm not
Seems
a
like
huge
you
fan of
could
that.
very easily be overcharged for things.
So anyway, Bradley is quite pleased with his phone. Maybe I'll post pictures of me
You've had
enjoying
quite a
my
week.
phone.
You bumped your head, you got a new
Concussion,
telephone.
iPhone. The well, I won't get into that yet. I'm
There's
also,
more?
I'm still all scatterbrained. I don't know if it's because of the concussion or just because there's too much to talk about. But we'll end our opening segment now and start the new segment after that.
Cut that out.
I will. Okay, so like I said, I got my iPhone 5. I was quite pleased by that, but there was a snafu from AT&T where when I activated my phone, they just cut off my text messaging plan.
Bastards.
Just didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So I spent all weekend pissed off, thinking that nobody was paying any attention to me. I was writing text messages to people, and nobody was responding. And of course, because they couldn't. And the thing that was fucking me up is that I was still getting iMessages from people who had iPhones. And so if I had gotten no messages, maybe I would have been tipped off that something was wrong, but I was still getting a few from people.
Yeah.
And so I was just like embittered all week and just wandering around by myself or all weekend. I think that mood that I was in, thinking I was being rejected by all my friends, added to some of the weird encounters I had.
Yeah.
I was out on my smoking corner downtown, and this woman walked by with a little kid, and the little kid like said something to the mom or something, and she went, "Oh, don't say that."
Oh.
And then she turned to me and was like, "You should be ashamed of yourself." I went, oh, because I was just standing there minding my own business. It's like, okay, why should I be ashamed of myself? My little son just said that you look cool. Okay. I still don't really get where you're going with this. And basically it was because I was smoking.
Yeah.
And that I was cool. Her son was looking up to me. Not because I was smoking, but because she called me she said something about me standing there with my band T-shirt and my skinny jeans looking cool and smoking a cigarette.
Well, this is the whole role model thing.
Yeah.
It gets back to, you remember in the 90s, Charles Barkley getting on the commercial saying, "I'm not a role model," you know? Because he was spitting on people in the crowd.
I'm definitely not a role model.
You're definitely not a role model. So, I mean, I don't feel like you're going to have to go on a campaign and get like billboards up and be like, "I am not a role model."
Don't do what I do.
Yeah, your kids should look up to you, not to me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be raising your kids. You should be cool, Dad. You should be cool, Mom.
It was funny because the little kid the whole time was like, "Mom," pulling on her.
Oh, that's humiliating.
No, it is very humiliating.
But it's weird. I don't think I've ever like said I thought someone was cool to my mom.
think it's very weird.
Yeah.
And why, I don't know. He looks up to skinny, hipsterish looking
how
people,
old was
apparently.
this kid?
He was like maybe 9 or 10. It's very weird.
This kid's going to be smoking in like a year if he's not already.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I've done my job then. I should get paid by Camel Cigarettes as like an ambassador of the brand.
Wait.
I just stand around looking cool.
I wish the people in the audience could see what's happening right now. You have your Camel cigarette in the left hand, Dr. Pepper in the right, just smiling, so pleased with yourself.
And I look cool, don't I?
Yeah, both of those things are not things you should encourage children to consume, though.
Dr. Pepper is excellent for you. It's just what the doctor ordered.
I don't think all 23 of those flavors are very good for anyone.
But then as I was sad and morose playing with my iPhone at the bagelry, thinking that everyone was rejecting me, talking to Siri because she was my only friend that I had
At
now.
least Siri responded. That's nice.
She did.
Yeah.
She was confused sometimes, but at least she responded. This little dog came up to me.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of thing where I didn't see any owner. There was no collar.
Yeah.
It was kind of mangy. But it just came right up and put its head on my lap and looked up at me
adorable.
with its liquid brown eyes. And I went, oh, at least the dog loves me. And I started petting the dog. And then it just kind of settled down right by my chair and would kind of look up at me and give the dog smile every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, then. And so I drank my coffee and was talking to the dog for a while, just like...
I'm talking to the dog.
Well,
really.
you know, you're like, so... I mean, you don't know.
No responses with your text messages. Siri not understanding what you're saying. A slight concussion, and so you start talking to a dog outside of
I didn't get
bagel
any
place.
verbal response from the dog.
Okay,
but
but
it was acknowledging the fact that I was talking to it.
Yeah.
And then I got up to leave, and the dog just got up and started following me down the street, just heeling perfectly beside me. And so I went, okay, I can't just walk off with this dog, obviously. Obviously, it must belong to somebody. I don't know who it belongs to. But I couldn't see anybody. I was looking around. I looked in the bagelry. I didn't see anybody missing a dog. And so I walked down to my corner. It just sat down by me at the corner.
Yeah.
Smoking, drinking my coffee. Finally, this very disturbed-looking woman, I could see her looking left and right and kind of shouting. She was calling the dog.
Yeah.
Its name was Haley. Oh. And Haley would look at her and then just kind of look back up at me and was not going to go to the woman. Haley had decided that she was going to hang out with me, and finally the woman was like, Haley, get over here now. And she slowly and ponderously got up and went over back to the woman, and then she just would stare at me while she was standing over by the woman.
The experience of being with her owner for Haley probably isn't very pleasant.
Her owner seemed kind of like a bitch.
Yeah, so any chance to escape into the arms of a stranger, that dog's going to take.
But that was nice. It made me feel a little better about myself. I think I have gerbils, but they don't really give me much feedback.
Oh, there's not a lot there.
No,
they're
really.
Just little balls.
So what's going on with your Fairy Tale Football League?
Well, I'm in okay position right now. I'm feeling pretty good. I am 2-0.
2-0?
I could be 3-0 after today. It was really stressful. I was sitting there watching. The numbers go up and down. It's really close right now. Who knows? After this podcast, I'll take a look and see where we're at.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is playing tomorrow on Monday night against the Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh.
So I still have him in my back pocket.
Root for him to get
good. It's going to be really awful, right? I have to root for the Seahawks to score many, many points, and for Aaron Rodgers to score many, many points, and the Seahawks to score slightly more. Tearing at my heart, this will be.
So you get points for his yardage too, right? Like
yardage and touchdowns and things like that. Rushing yardage, I think, too, and rushing touchdowns. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be really exciting.
How have the Seahawks been doing? I have no idea.
I think they're 1-1. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, for all the people who listen for the sports news, that's your update on sports.
Well, so far we've had a tech review and our sports news so far. Maybe we'll have to start adding in movie reviews, maybe recipes for people to try out every once in a while.
Oh, yeah. We got to cover all the bases.
Useful for people.
Yeah.
They wander the streets, scavenging for loose change and discarded cigarette butts.
Spare $1
And give me a motherfucking cigarette.
I ran out of gas ways back.
You smoke weed, don't you?
Good in the car.
I could use some change.
They may be mentally unstable and deserving of our charity, but that doesn't mean they can't be selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
It is Street Freak of the Week on the Warren and Bradley Show, and this week, last week we didn't have any Street Freak of the Week, and this week somebody, a intrepid homeless person, has stepped forward and thrown his hat into the ring.
Well, you saw as I was walking up to your apartment,
yes.
You were outside smoking, and a homeless person we ran into each other at a corner, and I was behind him. I was kind of hoping.
You got nothing from him.
I was sort of like beckoning to him almost, and nothing. He wouldn't even look at me.
I was waiting for him after your two ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to come over to me and start like doing something
I was a little
crazy.
worried that was going to happen too. I was going to be like, "Why is it him?" And I could have actually questioned him about it and see what was going on.
Your self-esteem plummets even further.
Yeah.
It was last night. I went out. I was trying to get all my friends to go out with me, and nobody was responding because my text messages weren't working. So I was like, fine, I'll go out by myself.
Nah, that's good.
And so I got
with Siri, you and Siri
me
together.
and Siri. So I got all gussied up and started walking downtown. There was a show I was going to go to. And there's this one little stretch on my street, kind of halfway between here and downtown, where there's like a marine store where they sell rudders and those weird spoked wheels and compasses and things. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Yeah. And there's a little alcove there, and there was just kind of a pile of rags in that alcove, which seemed to have a human shape to it.
Yeah.
And as I was walking by, it went and sort of like roused itself.
Uh-huh.
And after I had gone maybe 10 paces past it, I heard a, "Hey, excuse me." But I was already past the guy.
Yeah.
And I just pretended not to hear him and just kept walking. Yeah.
So you didn't just jump on this opportunity immediately and be like, ooh, and run back.
I didn't want to like stop and be like, excuse me, what did you say? Because I knew he was going to ask me for a cigarette or he was going to ask me for money and I was going to say no and then keep walking. It was pointless. And so I pretended I couldn't hear him or pretended that I didn't realize he was talking to me.
Yeah.
Normally, people would just chalk that up to, okay, not going to get anything out of this guy, go back to sleeping in his little pile of rags. This guy would not have any of that. He was irritated that I did not acknowledge him.
Yeah.
And got up, roused himself somehow. I could just hear him like shuffling behind me. Started following me.
Oh, no.
I walk at a pretty good clip. And
you move pretty well.
Yeah. I move pretty fast, got the long legs going. He was stumbling along behind me like some sort of homeless zombie person, very addled, he couldn't really walk in a straight line, was weaving back and forth, but just kept going, hey, excuse me, hey. I had already pretended that I couldn't hear him, so I had to continue pretending that I couldn't hear him, even as he was trying to follow behind me and get my attention. This lasted all the way to downtown.
Oh, my.
And I live, it's probably like a 10-minute walk from
and
here.
up a hill, too.
And up a hill. And I was trying to look behind me to see where he was without making it apparent that I was looking behind me to see where he was. So I would see maybe his reflection in a car or...
Like the way you follow people from the front in like spy movies.
Exactly, yeah.
Like seeing where they are.
And I would look back and see him just like, following after me. And I was like, how long is this going to last? Is he going to walk into a bar?
Actually go into the show, be behind you the entire time.
And so I had to go to a convenience store because I realized shockingly that I only had 2 cigarettes in my pack. And so I went to the little convenience store, bought the cigarettes, came out, and he was waiting for me.
Well, now he knows you have cigarettes now, too.
Well, yeah, I don't know if he actually saw what I purchased, but he was waiting outside after all this time, all this determination to follow me and track me down and get some sort of acknowledgement from me. The only thing he said was, "Fuck you!" And then he turned around and stumbled away.
You know, that's a man of principle.
It is.
Unlike you who accept a couple $100 from Keith Cox and then you just let it go. Yeah. This guy... You deny him.
I blanked him.
The thing is, he went through all that trouble, went all the way after you, and even if you had offered him something at that point,
he wouldn't have accepted.
He would have been like, "Fuck you." You know what? It's the principle of the thing.
He does have principles.
I'm going to roll down the hill back to my little sailor store and go back to sleep. But you should respond to me at least.
You know, there's that point where you take something so far you can't go back on it anymore.
Yeah.
After I had walked halfway downtown and the zombie was shuffling after me for that long, if I were to suddenly be like, "Oh, I didn't hear you," and turn around and start talking to him, it was pointless. I do that even with normal humans who are like, "Hey," and maybe I didn't quite get right away that they were talking to me, and then I realize it 10 steps later, but then I just pretend I didn't hear them.
Yeah.
Because it's just it's so much trouble. So he was determined to get my attention, and I was determined
You were determined to not,
ignore him.
because turning around and being like, "Oh, now I hear you," would have admitted that you would have ignored him in the first place. So you were committed to your act of ignoring.
So, I guess he's the only competitor we have this week on Street Freak of the Week, so I guess the crown just goes to him by default.
Reg Boy wins.
So congratulations, Mr. Psychotically Determined Zombie Homeless Man. You've been selected as the Street Freak of the Week.
We appreciate your pluck.
Our hats are off to you, Mr. Homeless Man, because you've been selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week. Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
All right, then, let's get right in to our Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show. Top story this week. Amanda Bynes charged for driving on suspended license.
Who could have foreseen this?
Was it just last week we were betting on how long it would be until some other driving infraction would happen with Amanda Bynes because we knew that her license had been revoked.
Yes.
You put up a year.
I said it would at least be within a year.
Yeah.
And you said at least within 6 months.
It was a couple days. Her license was revoked, and now she's been charged for driving on a suspended license. She apparently does not care whether or not she's licensed. She's been charged with 2 counts of driving on a suspended license. She was pulled over twice outside the Burbank airport, and the police officers who ran her license through their system discovered it was suspended. They impounded her vehicle and issued a ticket for using her suspended license. She's also facing DUI charges as well as 2 hit-and-run charges, and she's expected in court for her DUI case on Friday.
As I predicted before, this will eventually end up with Bynes in jail.
I'm assuming that all these charges continuing to mount up, she's going to have to get some jail time, perhaps. She's hit the police officer with her car.
Yeah.
That hasn't been, I don't think she's been adjudicated for that yet. She's got the 2 or 3 charges of suspended license. She's got 2 hit and runs. It's mounting.
At some point you're going to run to an angry judge who's going to be like...
Throw the book at her.
Yeah, well, you can't drive. You're not allowed to drive.
Yeah.
She keeps defying that. You can't drive when you're in jail.
It's to the point of strange psychosis.
This is the other thing.
Yeah.
I've had a driver's license for years.
Yeah.
I've been pulled over once.
Yeah.
How can you get your license suspended and be literally pulled over days later?
I don't know.
You're pulled over so often?
I have been pulled over once for a taillight and once for negligent driving, and I got a...
And you've been driving since you were 16.
Right. Well, and it only took me one time. The one time I got pulled over leaving downtown late at night.
Yeah.
And the cop was like, oh, this guy's probably been drinking, and I didn't turn into my immediate lane.
Yes.
And so they pulled me over. I was under the legal limit, but since I had alcohol in my system, you still get negligent driving.
Yeah.
And so it took one time for me to never do that again, because it was such a horrible shitstorm of crap that fell down on top of me. Just all the money I had to shell out, all the rigmarole to go through. I was like, this sucks. I'm not doing this ever again. And I never have.
But it's one thing to get your license suspended and decide to drive and drive carefully and not get caught. It's another thing to a couple days later get pulled over outside the Burbank airport.
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing.
You
she's
have
just constantly...
to follow at that point you should follow the law at least, or be careful. Oh,
and another Amanda Bynes story. She has been dropped by her agent, her publicist, and her lawyer, all within a 1 week period.
Okay, now I'm starting to feel bad because we called all this and it's happening like even more rapidly than I anticipated.
It's the curse of the Warren and Bradley show.
Completely out of control.
But yeah, it looks like her career is probably over. Her driving days are probably, well, she'll still be driving.
She'll drive unless she's locked up.
They've impounded her car, but she'll probably get another one.
She'll get a different car and she'll drive that until she's eventually in jail.
Next tragic story.
Wow. I did not know about this.
LMFAO breaks up.
It's horrible.
Oh my God.
Will we not see any more like beer commercials with them dancing around and stuff?
I didn't even know who they were until, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. And I saw
Party Rock Anthem.
Yes. And well, I'd heard that, but I didn't know. I don't pay any attention to that shit. And I saw them performing something somewhere, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a parody or just something that someone was putting up online to be amusing.
Yeah.
I did not realize that this was a multi-million selling, hugely successful group.
Big stars.
Apparently, Red Foo and Sky Blue, 26. Red Foo is the uncle of Sky Blue, he's 37. They feel like they're headed in different directions musically, and that he has no idea if they'll ever team up again. I don't really give a shit. The
problem is, at this point, one of them's going to be a bigger star than the other.
Who do you have your money on, Red Foo or Sky Blue?
I didn't even know they had those names until right now. You got to put your money on the younger one, right?
I would assume so.
For stardom. Okay.
But maybe Red Foo is the brains behind the
Okay,
operation.
we're looking at the picture right now. There's one with the poofy hair and there was one without poofy hair.
Yeah, I'm assuming the poofy hair is the older one.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, I'm going to go with poofy hair, too. Because at least he's got the poofy hair.
He's more flamboyant.
Yeah.
Next story. Paris Hilton. Gay men are disgusting, and most of them have AIDS.
Wow. That's not the most enlightened thing I've heard.
Apparently, Paris Hilton was in a taxi cab with a gay friend. The cab driver started recording their conversation because he knew that was Paris Hilton. And maybe she would say something stupid, because chances are Paris Hilton is going to say something stupid.
Yeah.
The quote was taken out of context, though, I will say that. Apparently, they were discussing the app Grindr, where gay men post things on Grindr, and it's like GPS location where it's like, let's meet up in this bathroom on the 6th floor of this building. And then they go have sex.
Oh, I guess it would make sense that the internet would get involved in that sort of stuff.
And so the guy was talking about that, and he showed her the website. And so her quote was, "Oh, this is disgusting. Gay guys are so horny. I'm sure all these guys have AIDS, blah, blah, blah." And so I guess she was talking about the Grindr people and not gay people in general. But of course, the gay community has gone insane, and she's had to have some sort of retraction that she made to GLAAD. As anyone close to me knows, I have always been and always will be a huge supporter of the gay community. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry and so upset that I caused pain to my gay friends, fans, and their families with the comments heard this morning. I was having this private conversation with a friend of mine who is gay, and our conversation was in no way towards the entire gay community. Just the gross, disgusting ones who have AIDS. It is the last thing I would ever want to do, and I cannot put into words how much I wish I could take back every word. I think what we've learned recently with Stevie Wonder, who else? There's been a bunch of gaffes mentioning things about gay. You just don't talk about gay people, ever.
Oh, I think if you want to remain politically correct and you're like a star, you just don't talk about anybody ever.
No.
You just praise everyone.
Yeah, you can't make any comments. Obviously, this was a stupid thing for her to say, but she had no idea that she was being recorded. Next story.
Fiona Apple arrested.
We're looking at the crazy mugshot of Fiona Apple right now. She looks as though she is asleep, standing up, wearing some sort of strange, it looks like a stereotypical prisoner outfit with like the black and white stripes.
But I'm sure she was wearing that when she was booked, right?
Yes,
they didn't put her in
I'm assuming
that.
so. I don't think so. She was arrested during a stop in Sierra Blanca, Texas, when law enforcement officials discovered hashish, a potent type of marijuana, on her bus. This is the same town where Willie Nelson, Snoop Dogg, and actor Armie Hammer have all been arrested for drug possession.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to go around that town.
I think basically there's some very zealous sheriff who knows whenever a tour bus goes through that he should, because every fucking tour bus is going to have marijuana or hash in it. It's just a foregone conclusion.
Oh, and if you're organizing that tour, though, you got to be on top of that.
Are we going to get past this shit at some point? This is so stupid. When are we going to stop wasting time on this bullshit?
I mean, is anyone outraged that Fiona Apple has hash on her bus? It's like, who? I mean, no one cares.
What year is it? What's going on? It's ridiculous.
Is this the concussion? Are you literally asking me? Or
no, I know.
Okay.
That was a rhetorical device.
Yeah, I'm sure she just paid a fine and left, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know what the possession penalties are in Texas, but yeah, usually anywhere else it's like $50 ticket or $100 ticket or something like that.
This won't harm her career in any way.
It's not going to turn into some sort of Midnight Express kind of story as far as I know. But yeah, let's get past the bullshit with the pot. I don't smoke pot, but I honestly don't give a shit. If anybody does, why can't we just stop?
People in power, I know a lot of members of Congress listen to this show.
Yes.
Please, let's be a little more tolerant with the pot.
Last story for this week. Clint Eastwood, the Republican Party was dumb to invite me to speak at the RNC.
You know, that's true. That it is.
I think everyone has heard of the infamous Clint Eastwood speaking to an empty chair speech that he gave at the RNC, where he pretended that Barack Obama was seated in an empty chair next to him and pretended that Barack Obama was telling Mitt Romney to go fuck himself. I found it amusing just because anything Clint Eastwood does is amusing to me.
What's strange, did they just have a block of time and they're just like, Clint, you can have this?
I don't know if they vetted his speech at all. I think from what I've heard, he didn't tell them what he was going to say, and he didn't even really know what he was going to say until he got up and said it. But he obviously had to plan out the chair thing.
In such a managed and completely manufactured event, it's strange that they didn't organize something or make sure what he was going to say was something that they wanted him to say.
I don't know. I don't think you can do that with Clint. Clint does what he wants. Clint is Clint.
Maybe they're just so happy to have Clint that they were like, oh, we'll let him do whatever he wants.
He was on the Ellen show. He said, if somebody is dumb enough to ask me to go to a political convention and say something, they're going to have to take what they get. The Democrats who were watching thought I was going senile, and the Republicans knew I was. He was.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
That's a good line right there.
Later in the show, DeGeneres and Eastwood took a break from talking politics to discuss Mrs. Eastwood and Company, a reality show focused on Eastwood's wife Dina and their daughters Francesca and Morgan. When he was asked how he felt about the series, Eastwood said, I don't feel much. If they want to do a reality show, that's fine. My only request was to please leave me out of it as much as possible.
So stoic, you know.
Gotta love Clint.
Even if somebody has a gun on him, he's still cool. If his wife and daughter are doing something weird on reality TV, he's still cool.
It's funny that obviously he has never shot people like he has in the movie. He isn't the badass that is portrayed in the films, but he is at the same time.
Oh, yes, it's a little bit of that. That is his personality.
You don't cross Clint. You don't fuck with Clint.
Yeah.
I remember years ago I was watching some interview. I can't remember who was interviewing him, but he was asking him about all the kids he had with several different women.
Yeah.
And
that was a 60 Minutes interview.
Yeah, I think it was a 60-minute interview.
And he just got really awkward in the room.
And Clint basically just glared at the reporter, did not answer.
Well, he said I like children or something.
He said something like that, and then just like glared at him, and the reporter was like got very upset and very uncomfortable, and
it was a difficult moment for
he was intimidated.
Yeah. Let's not wrap up Celebrity Minute, because I just saw something on the computer that's really alarming. Take a look at that picture of Kathy Griffin without makeup.
Oh my God!
Open that thing up.
Kathy Griffin goes without makeup, holds hands with boyfriend. Oh,
whoa! It's really weird looking. But
wow,
that can't be real.
I mean, she's like 50. So it makes sense.
But I mean, she looks like messed. I guess is that plastic surgery?
Maybe. We'll post the picture on
looks weird though, doesn't it?
It looks very strange, like tight and drawn, and maybe Botox is the problem.
Like clownish almost. Yeah. Oh, Kathy. All right, wrap it. This is terrible. Right. Take this off the screen.
We're wrapping this up. I have to go to the bathroom. So that's the end of Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Dear Warren and Bradley, I am writing this missive to let you know that I was utterly delighted with last week's episode. Your tales of prostitutes and the indigent are always quite illuminating, and I say, could you turn off that racket? Turn it off, I say! What are you doing? Can't hear myself make this ridiculous noise.
Listener feedback on The Warren and Bradley Show.
Yes, welcome to listener feedback on the Warren and Bradley Show. Again, if any of you loyal listeners would like to write in with questions, comments, concerns, you can contact us through our Facebook page at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley, or write to podcast at warrenandbradley.com.
Or Twitter at Warren and Brad.
Yes, Twitter as well. Our first missive is from the person who Warren did not believe was real. Karin, our first Japanese listener, has gotten in touch.
Okay, let me just say about thinking people are real. Just because someone makes up a personality in one website and then they also make the same personality on another website doesn't make them real. That's not confirmation.
I would assume that if you are going to have a fake Twitter, that you don't go to the trouble of making a fake Facebook page.
Or if you
at
got
the same
somebody
time.
on the hook like this guy does in his basement.
Well, we'll leave that up to Karin to prove her.
I have to see her in the flesh.
All right. She says, I discovered your show about 2 weeks ago and have been listening nonstop to catch up with past episodes. Excellent. I especially like the bumper music, street freaks, train brakes, and stories about your car breaking down. Next time you should ask Sergio and his mafia crew to pimp your ride. Well, thanks, Karin, for writing in. We appreciate you listening to the show. And
you're great.
Especially liking the bumper music, because I made all that.
Yeah, she is really kissing your ass.
She is, and I appreciate
him
that.
Or it.
Next is from listener Barrett. Pointed us to a story. I don't know if any of you have heard about this. It was kind of going around the internet. But there was a church in Spain that had an old fresco of Jesus Christ on the wall. Apparently it had been degrading over time, and an elderly woman who was 82 years old decided to take it upon herself to restore the painting.
Yeah.
She did not have permission. She just looked at the painting and thought, "This does not
I can
good."
handle this."
Yeah,
yeah.
She could not handle it.
No, it's horrifying. The results.
We'll post the pictures online. The original was, a classic sort of Renaissance era picture of Jesus Christ with the crown of thorns. It had degraded to the point where much of the face had flaked off. Her restored version looks like some sort of monkey creature with a furry head and a weird round mouth.
Just really scary looking. Like if that popped up by your bed at night, you would scream and wet yourself. It's like a terrifying vision.
But now, since her ill-advised attempt to restore the painting, I guess the church has been getting all sorts of tourists who have come to look
it's very famous now. Yeah.
At the Beast Christ, as it's now being called. Yeah. And now she says that the church owes her money for turning that into a tourist attraction.
All right, let me tell you. Listen, old lady. Fuck you. I don't know how to say it in Spanish, but give me a break. You fucked up. You know what? And they didn't do anything to you. They didn't punish you in any way.
Yeah.
Now, if the church, who you supposedly were trying to help, is benefiting by this, that should really please you. Do not try to steal from the church.
Well, according to the Spanish daily El Correo, Jimenez has hired lawyers to shake down the church where the fresco is located, claiming they've made thousands of euros in the collection box.
Oh, God.
Thanks to the myriad tourists flocking to see her hairy monkey in ill-fitting tunic painting.
It's a miracle.
But apparently the Santuario de Misericordia church in Borja is not taking kindly to her copyright claim. She's claiming copyright of the image.
No,
and
they're making money off the image. No.
And they've hired their own legal team to battle it out in court.
You can't deface something and then claim copyright.
I just love the idea. There's this little old woman. She's 85 years old. I don't know if she goes to the church, but she saw a problem.
Yeah.
She saw something was wrong.
Yeah.
And she figured, you know what? I'm gonna solve this problem. She paints a monkey where Jesus used to be. And instead of, I guess she was apologetic originally because she told people like,
yes,
I fucked it up. And now she's recovered. She's gotten her wits about her again, and now she wants to get paid. That's kind of encapsulates what our modern society has become.
Well, it kind of encapsulates what I imagine is going on in the Mediterranean area of Europe, where apparently no one works, from what I hear.
No.
And so this looks like a good way to score some money.
Our next message comes from listener Theo. He says, I just finished episode 42 and absolutely loved Bradley's tyrant and vendetta against the people who looked at his old truck. It wasn't the truck, it was a car, but anyway. Hardest I've laughed in a while. Thanks. Thank you, Theo. I'm sure you already saw this, but I thought I'd pass it on anyway. And then he points to a couple stories that he wanted us to check out. Basically, there was a special on a National Geographic channel called, I think it was Taboo is the series, and they were profiling a 29-year-old who acts like a 2-year-old infant. The adult baby.
Oh, God.
We'll post a link to the YouTube video. We don't have time to pull any audio from it or anything here, and there isn't much to hear. It's mostly just seeing a really large fat man in footy pajamas being fed a bottle by a really large fat woman. Eating with a bib, sitting in... He's made all these custom high chairs and cribs, and he hangs out there. He's on disability for apparently having post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, good. Senator Coburn is asking for an investigation,
yes.
too.
Okay, so after the special aired, Senator Coburn, Republican from Oklahoma, has called for an investigation. He said that he is suspicious that Thornton receives government disability checks while appearing quite capable to hold down a job. Quote, given that Mr. Thornton is able to determine what is appropriate attire and actions in public, drive himself to complete errands, design and custom make baby furniture to support a 350-pound adult, and run an internet support group, it is possible that he has been improperly collecting disability benefits for a period of time.
You know what? I know a lot of people go after Coburn as being kind of a right-wing zealot and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm kind of on board with it on this one. It does seem like someone may be abusing the system.
Well, wait, Warren, wait. When reached by the Times for comment, Thornton threatened to kill himself if his Social Security checks were discontinued. You want to test how damn serious I am about leaving this world? Screw with my check that pays for this apartment and food. Try it. See how serious I am. I don't care.
Again, I don't want to sound like a right-wing zealot, but if you're blackmailing the government to send you checks or you'll also kill yourself, cut the checks off immediately, please.
Well, apparently, this has all been shaken out now. He has been cleared of Social Security fraud. And there he is.
Oh, there's another picture.
There's a picture of him in a high chair eating some mush. Apparently, he has a condition called paraphilic infantilism. That involves role-playing as an infant, but that is not why he receives his disability check.
No, why does he receive that check?
He receives his disability check because he has post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder from working as a mall security guard.
Well, have we mentioned my previous career as mall security guard?
I don't think we have.
No,
on the show.
I was a mall security guard. That's it. I'm going on disability.
Oh, wait a minute. And it was also from physical and sexual abuse he suffered as a child.
Psh,
yeah.
Whatever.
So basically, the adult baby is still in diapers and still receiving checks from the government.
No.
He has a round-the-clock caregiver who feeds him his bottle, changes his diaper, puts him in his... Well, I don't know if she can put him in his crib because he weighs 350 fucking pounds, but...
No, I don't think so.
So there you go, people. Your tax dollars at work.
Well, thank you for that story, Theo.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're a listener. I'm very pleased.
Thank you to all the listeners who have written in, and like we said before, if you would like to write into the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com, contact us on Twitter @WarrenandBrad, or through Facebook at facebook.com/WarrenandBradley.
This has been listener feedback on the Warren and Bradley Show. If you'd like to get in touch, send your questions, comments, and concerns to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.
All right, throughout the week as I was convalescing from my addled head, I came across a story that I was quite interested in. Warp drives might be more realistic than thought. This is from Wired.com. I don't know if I can get into all the technical aspects of this story, but basically...
Because it'll take too long or because you don't understand them?
It would take too long. I've actually researched this whole warp drive thing before. Because, you know, I'm obsessed with certain things.
You need somebody to do in your spare time, right?
Exactly,
you got to work on something.
And there was this method that a Mexican physicist had come up with that was...
Mexican physicist?
Hey, stereotyping?
I'm sorry, Mexican listeners, that was really inappropriate that I did that. I'm completely apologize. Please continue, Brad.
Where basically physicist Miguel Alcubierre, but that sounds Italian, whatever. He had theorized in 1994 that there was a way to travel faster than light by basically generating a field around a ship that would warp space-time. And so the ship itself would be in normal space-time, but there would be a field around the ship that would be in a different space-time.
So you would be in your regular space-time, but you could see what was going on.
Yes.
Through your normal space-time into other space-time.
The drive would work by using a wave to compress the space-time in front of the spaceship while expanding the space-time behind it. The ship itself would float in a bubble of normal space-time that would float along the wave of compressed space-time, like the way a surfer rides a break. The ship inside the warp bubble would be going faster than the speed of light relative to objects outside the bubble. He had theorized this in 1994, but they had also theorized that the amount of energy required to generate this field would be more or equivalent to the mass energy of the whole planet of Jupiter.
Yeah.
Which...
This is often the constraint in these things, right? They're like, oh, we could do this, but we need to use all the energy in the entire universe.
So it seems it's not very practical.
No.
But now, scientists believe that those requirements might not be so vast, making warp travel a tangible possibility. Harold White from NASA's Johnson Space Center, he has calculated that the amount of energy required to create the drive may be smaller than first thought. Basically, they said now they could do it with a mass energy of an object the size of Voyager 1, which was a probe that they shot out there a while ago.
Yeah.
So basically, it's possible. They think it's possible to create warp drives.
According to our neighbors to the south.
Well, and also...
famous for their scientific
also a guy from
acumen.
NASA. It's been corroborated by by an American. I know that you don't trust Mexicans in any way, Warren.
Oh, no. The cooking, I would have no doubt. If there was if there's a new form of burrito, I definitely would be all over that.
So what do you think of this? Are you excited about the possibility?
For some reason, the other day, I decided to watch the second prequel of Star Wars.
Okay.
It's like the Attack of the Clones or something like that.
Why'd you decide to do that?
I don't know. First, I was like, I haven't seen these movies in a long time. I remember them being terrible.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll watch them again. And I watched that
Reaffirmed.
one. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably awful.
It's horrible.
But, so at one point, Obi-Wan Kenobi gets in this little ship and goes to this planet where they're making the clones, right? And apparently this planet's very isolated because they're doing something in secret out there.
Right.
The odd thing is he can just drive in his ship and get there that afternoon.
Yeah.
If you do have warp drive, what is the point of having something isolated on the other side of the galaxy if you can get there
It's a good point.
in a few minutes? Yeah.
I don't know if it is. See, the Star Wars, they're not hard science fiction, obviously. I don't know.
No, they're not.
I get the impression, because I remember in the first Star Wars movie, when they were going to, I think originally they were going to go to Alderaan, but then they found out it got blown up or something.
Oh, yeah, because when he was torturing Princess Leia, he's like, I'll blow that shit up.
But you get the impression that it did take a while to get to certain places, so they were like playing the weird little chess game with Chewbacca and stuff.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, that's right. Or like Luke had his little lightsaber, and
there's bunks in the Millennium Falcon. So I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. If it takes any time to get anywhere, it must take some time, right?
Because even if you're going faster than light or light speed, it still takes... I mean, how long does it take from light to go from the sun to the Earth? It takes a while.
It takes like 8 minutes, I think. Yeah.
So 8 minutes to get to the sun. It would take even longer to get to a galaxy far, far away.
But if it took like years, you couldn't have Obi-Wan Kenobi just leave the show, leave the movie, and then go to this place.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to call bullshit on Star Wars.
Really?
A lot of things that are happening aren't real, possibly.
But there's also the question of, if you're traveling faster than light, then relative to everyone else in the universe, isn't everyone else aging way faster?
If you're traveling faster than light, you're going back in time.
I guess you are, yeah.
Yeah. That's what time travel is.
So is this actually a practical way of traveling great distances, or is this a practical way to time travel?
My understanding of physics, maybe not Mexican physics, but North American physics, divorced above the Rio Grande, is that you can't go faster than the speed of light right now. That's what we're at. That's like impossible. Well, that's as fast as light can go.
Not according to Dr. Emilio, whatever his name was. But if it is possible, and they say that it is, is it time now for humans to finally start colonizing other star systems?
Oh, yes.
Would you be on board, Warren? Would you be the first one to sign up to get on this? You mean
if I got like a telegram from Mexico City saying like, we can send you to this other planet, you know, we want you to colonize it. We need your special skill set.
Right.
I'd probably go. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, what do we got to do here?
Well, and you know, when we've talked in the past about aliens, which we seem to always talk about aliens.
Yeah.
The fact that they've been ignoring Earth because we don't have faster than light travel, but as soon as we develop faster than light travel, that means we'll be taken into the galactic community. There was that horrible Star Trek movie, First Contact.
Yeah.
When the guy from Babe made a warp drive, and then as soon as he turned it on, the Vulcans came. We're like, oh, there you go.
I just pictured him playing the character from Babe, with like Babe and next to him as he's making the warp drive.
Buckled into the little seatbelt,
He also played George Bush in W, right?
Yes.
That guy.
No. Yeah.
That's that same guy.
That
old skinny guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is.
I don't know what his name is either.
Oh, he's great. He's a definite look to him.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where we're going with this.
We really got sidetracked there, didn't we? For some reason, I can't think of anything today except for like bad movies and commercials.
Well, I think I'm still slightly addled.
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh no! Now you're like making hand motions and giggling to yourself.
I can't follow through with a train of thought anymore right now. I don't know what's going on.
It was tenuous before, now it's even worse. Yeah.
I don't know if this makes for good pod or bad pod, but
it makes it difficult to talk about like astrophysics.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it's Mexican astrophysics.
That's going on the band name list.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.
Gone, even though now I have a hangover headache, but that's a whole different story. But I was sitting in front of the computer and I was trying to edit the episode, and then I would realize that I had just been sitting there for like 30 minutes just looking at the transport flashing and like not doing anything. It's like, ugh, like I just couldn't concentrate on anything. It was very strange. I don't know. I've had concussions as a child, but I don't really remember what it was like.
No.
And basically, I realized kind of what it was like to be stupid for a couple days, because people would say things to me and I'd go, sit there for a minute, and it would take a while to soak in, and then I'd sort of respond, but not completely answering the question they'd asked me.
This is not good. You're going to end up like Junior Seau, and you're going to like shoot yourself in the heart to preserve your head.
Well, so my lawsuit against my father.
Yeah, exactly. Can go forward.
But anyway, I think I'm okay now. But if this show seems disjointed and crazy, it's probably because I'm still have mild brain damage going on.
Oh, it'll just make for more entertainment.
Yeah, maybe. The other big story.
Oh, there's more?
I got my iPhone 5 on Friday.
Yes.
So beautiful.
I just saw it. It's a little longer and maybe a little thinner and shinier.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. I had the 4, so this thing is remarkably fast compared to the 4. I've started my relationship with Siri now.
Oh, you didn't have Siri before?
No.
Siri was part of the 4S.
No, yeah. Oh. I didn't have it. But now I can finally stop obsessively checking the UPS tracking site, which I was doing all week long. Refresh. And
I always do that too, even when I order like some books from Amazon. Yeah. I'm really not that desperate to get my hands on these books, but I'm still just like checking all the time, like hoping they would come. And I don't even bother to open the box for a few days. But I'm just like, I got to get this box.
It is exciting.
Because you can track it and you can see where it is. And you're like, oh, it's in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. And you're like, when will it move out of there?
Yeah. So I'm very pleased with it. This little capsule review of the iPhone 5. It's way faster. It's lighter. It's thinner. I think the screen size is perfect. I can still hold it in one hand and reach everywhere on the screen.
Yeah.
But video looks way better now because it's in 16:9 aspect ratio, which is like widescreen video. For me, the upgrade from the 4 to the 5 was a huge leap because that one was 2 years old, and so it's like 4 times faster than the 4 was.
Well, just imagine if I got it going from a cordless phone to that phone. It would be quite a jump. I was watching TV today, and they kept running this ad from Samsung.
Oh, yeah, the Galaxy S3.
Yeah. People just seem to love it. On the commercial.
Yeah.
But they were actually making fun of people going and waiting in line.
They do that every year.
That's a tradition from
Every
Samsung?
time there's an iPhone launch, they do a thing of deriding the people.
It was not a flattering portrayal of the Apple people. Like, they're just nerds hanging out, like, worshiping this, like, piece of technology. The Samsung people, who are, for some reason, standing outside the line watching and mocking the people who are in line at the Apple store, were like, well, look at my screen. My screen's really great. And I can do all these things.
I'm not, like, a big Apple person. I don't have a Mac or anything. The only Apple product I've ever owned is, I think I had a classic iPod once, and then I've had the iPhone since the 3G. And I love the iPhone, but I don't get all crazy about Android versus Apple. And it's really weird how society has devolved into this brand civil wars. Or not even civil wars. Sir has told me about what happened, and I don't know if he's lying or not. But I was at work. I guess I was working under some overhanging thing, like I was crouched under it. And I don't know if somebody called my name or something, but I just stood up as hard as I could and just smacked the top of my head into the thing. And my older brother said that I sort of like stumbled around for a minute and clutched my head and looked all dazed. And he said it sounded like someone just took a hammer and beat me in the top of the head as hard as they could. And then I guess I sort of went back to work for a few minutes.
So you have no recollection of this?
I don't remember it happening at all.
Wow.
No. And then after I was working for a few minutes, I just sort of started stumbling around, and then I stumbled off to the side and collapsed and started retching, like I was vomiting.
Oh, no. That's a symptom of a concussion.
Yeah, I guess. And then I think I remember... Well, apparently I was just sitting there dazed, and they told me just to sit there and not... I kept trying to get up to work, and I guess I would like hold my tool and just go and like sort of rub it back and forth, and they would ask me questions, and it would take me a while to answer, and I kept asking them how I hit my head over and over again.
God.
And then I think I drove home that day, which probably wasn't a good idea.
So is there like an actual gap in your memory? Like,
yeah,
can you remember right up to the point that it happened, and then just your memory come back at some point?
I don't remember. I think I lost a good 5 or 6 hours from that day, both before and after. It's really weird. It's very strange to try to think back and realize, to try to think of what's the last thing I remember, and I can't even really...
The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic!
It is magic time! Hello and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show, episode 44.
44! Yes!
We have way too much to talk about in this episode. I don't know if we'll get to it all, but we're going to try to get through a Street Freak of the Week. We've got listener feedback. We've got Celebrity Minute. We've got just tons of shit to talk about. I think I should start right off the bat with the big story this week, was that I suffered more head trauma.
Oh, no.
I don't think you've even heard about this, have you?
No, I don't know anything about this.
I got a concussion at work on Monday. I don't know how many. I think that makes like 8 or 9 severe head trauma that I've received in my life.
Really?
My head has been bashed around. If you were to shave my head, it would just be riddled with dents and scars and lumps everywhere. Yeah. I don't really remember it happening. I guess that I can only go by what my brother...
That's kind of vague.
I think I remember getting to work. I remember...
This happened in the morning at work?
Yeah, it was pretty much in the morning.
So you remember going back to work at some point later in the afternoon?
Not really. I think I remember... I'm trying to think if I can remember my drive home. But even that's kind of fuzzy.
Ooh.
It was funny because the next day I have my little workout regimen that I do, and I mark it on a little chart, like how much I've done every day. And I looked and saw that I had it marked off for Monday. So I don't know if I was doing push-ups and crunches and stuff.
That's possible.
I probably did. I don't know what else. I don't know if I was doing anything else crazy, like calling people, or I didn't notice any text messages or anything weird that I was doing.
This could be a dude, where's my car type situation.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're doing all sorts of things. Maybe talking to the alien or something where this is going on.
But it was very strange because it kind of, even the next day, I got that day off from work, And that's why I got kind of suspicious, because my dad was being so nice about everything.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you don't have to come into work, and I'll even pay you for this day that you're not at work. It's like, what? Because this has never happened in my entire life. And so now I'm thinking maybe he like beat me over the head with a 2x4 or something, and he feels guilty about it, and that's what actually happened.
Well, he's probably worried that, I mean, this happened.
Yeah.
And if something really bad did happen, it wouldn't
just drop dead or something.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very good for him, both on like a family level and on like a professional level.
In the labor and industries.
Yes,
yeah.
it would be a pretty bad scene.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So even on Tuesday, when I was sitting around, I was trying to edit last week's episode on Tuesday.
Jeez.
And even though I kind of thought I felt normal, I had a horrible headache pretty much for a week. Today is the first day that it was pretty much